right, welcome to the Harmony Channel. Jason Whitlock here. We have a great conversation. TJ Moe joining me. We want to talk about the 54 white people from South Africa that are attempting to and or are immigrating to America. This has caused quite a storm in the left-wing media space. I don't even understand how this has become a big deal and controversial. TJ, I want to start with a clip of Al Sharpton reacting here and his spin on the fact that 54 white people from South Africa, that white farmers are being killed allegedly or apparently over in South Africa, and they're moving here to America. But let's hear from Al Sharpton.
You have a lot of
I've talked to some people that been at the protest, and he's still in custody wherever. But I think that the problem here is that you're talking about the mayor of a city where people are being held without due process in many cases.
Right.
So he has the right to say, wait a minute, I want to know what's going on here. Why are people being held without due process? Now, you contrast that at the same time, the New York Times is saying that President Trump is saying to white Afrikaners from South Africa, I'll give you refugee status. So we're bringing in white Afrikaners who we don't know if they're criminals. We don't know this, what they went through in the legal process in South Africa. But people right here in Newark, we're going to assume they're all criminal. We're going to bring them out. And if the mayor wants to say, wait a minute, let's have due process, lock him up. He's trespassing. It is as blatantly a double standard as one can get. What is the real policy going to be? And I think he's right. Judges have to establish, are we going to have due process? Or are we just going to let everybody go? And can the president just give other people blanket, you're refugees? So what's the difference, Mr. President, between a refugee and a guy that may be a criminal and may not be, given the Garcia situation?
Yeah, I mean, I hate doing graphics myself, but I'm going to do one.
I don't understand how 54 people have caused this big of a dust-up when we've watched hundreds of thousands walk over our border for 4 straight years. This whole situation, it's baffling to me, but it's not baffling in terms of there's so much stirred up racial division in anything that appears to benefit white Christians in any way can be spun into, well, this is racism and some sort of double standard, but maybe I'm missing something, and I'm probably asking the wrong person here if I'm missing something, but I don't know. TJ, what, how do you read this? What's going on here?
You might be missing something, but it's definitely not in their favor. It's in yours. I think they are looking, as you said, solely based on race, and they're saying, hey, we can't allow, we have rigged up this society to believe that white people cannot possibly be victims. So if we allow these white victims into America, now that destroys our narrative. And I think that's what they're looking at here. They can't possibly demonstrate any sort of empathy. These are white people. It doesn't matter that they're only 7% of the population over there and that they're being murdered and that President Trump calls it a genocide. None of that matters. It only matters that they're white and therefore they can't be victims, even though the system that they say created, it's a majority black government over there. They're certainly the minority. Here in America, they love to say that black people can't be racist because you have to have power to be racist. Well, the black people have power over in South Africa. And so it seems they could be racist, and they are against these white farmers. But I just think that the leftists don't want anybody that has our values, which I think these South African farmers, there's only 7%, but I think they own something like 80% of all the farmland in South Africa and produce like 95% of the goods there. They're incredibly productive people. And so these are actually refugees that you would want here. that embrace it. Have you seen the videos where they brought them here, the 54, they all have American flags? It's like they're people that actually embrace it. When have we ever seen a Somalian? Remember how years ago we took the Somalian refugees in? Have you ever seen an American flag? Have you ever seen anybody from these third world countries grateful to be here whatsoever? Of course not. So why would they want to import people that actually like America and like the American values and totally disrupt their narrative that white people can't be victims?
I do think you're right in terms of white people can't be victims in the minds of, or in the worldview and the normal narrative that we have here in the American media. But that doesn't, 54 people? This seems like such a drop in the bucket.
67,000.
That if you let
67,000 have shown interest in coming here. And certainly we would welcome them. I would. They're exactly the kind of people that you would want to have here. People that are hardworking, people that are highly productive. Remember, when we say, hey, we haven't vetted these people, first of all, you can easily vet these people if you want to. You're taking in refugees. It's different than people fighting the border patrol on the southern border and then coming across and you actually have no idea who they are. You could vet these people one by one if you wanted to do that for the refugees. So that's one thing. But two, they're highly productive. They're not unskilled people. So if they came here, wouldn't they presumably come and do the same thing? We say all the time, we do have a crisis. This is one thing that Elon Musk really gets right. We have a crisis, a population collapse crisis. We have not been above population replacement level in the United States since 1973. That was the year Roe v. Wade was first passed. And so we don't replace our own people. We do need immigration. We just need the right immigration. We don't want to have 20 million people totally unvetted from third world countries that have absolutely none of our values and are not productive people at all. They just want to come here and live off of welfare. We don't want that. Do we want to bring highly skilled people here that have been incredibly productive, that are actually, they're actually literally in danger. When I was researching this, they have songs that are, like the most popular song right now is Kill the Boer, Murder the White Man. That is their song that plays in South Africa right now. So these people are highly under attack. And again, we're not just taking anybody, but we are looking to say, hey, could you come be productive here? And if there's 67,000 instead of 20 million, that seems like a decent trade for me.
Is this the video I may have seen where like maybe the president of South Africa was singing this song at a big stadium, or there was a big stadium of people singing this song? I think I saw that on social media.
I believe it was there were government officials there. I don't know if it was the president or not. But yes, I mean, it is blatant open racism against these people. And again, remember, they passed something in 2024 that they're just seizing the land in the name of equity, in the name of reparations and the apartheid state and all that. They're just taking their land. They're not even giving them any money for it. They're just coming in and stealing their land and saying, this actually belongs to black people because of former inequalities. Okay, so they've set things up for violence to begin with. And you've seen the videos of all of the crosses out there where these are murdered farmers. And we just act like we don't care. There it is there. We just act like we don't care at all, the media does, because they're white. It's like, well, white people you can't dare show any empathy from white people, because what about all these people that broke into our country and have committed murders and rapes? What about Garcia? What about him? We should be getting him out of the Venezuelan jail. We shouldn't be helping these white people. How dare you?
Let's play Donald Trump here, SOT number 6. Talking about these South Africans. Let's hear Trump's perspective.
Killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something. But we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they'd talk about it. That would be the only story they'd talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to escape from that violence and come here. Yeah.
So one of the things as it relates to the South Africans and the American flag, and just they want to assimilate into America. And the thing about what's happening with a lot of these immigrants, Somalia, other people, it's like they want to come to America and just turn a portion of Minnesota or wherever they land into, let's just set up Somalia here in America. That's completely different. That's a completely different form of immigration. And trust me, I know there'll be people that'll watch this clip and watch me and you in our discussion, and it'll just be like, oh, y'all just good with white people immigrating. No, I'm good with people that want to assimilate into our values and our culture. I'm not good with people that just want to set up whatever third world country they came from and just have it be here. And I can have Somalia while enjoying all the benefits of being an American citizen. I'm kind of anti that. I wouldn't even say kinda, I'm just anti that. But I listen to all of this, watch all of this, and I just feel like I go a bit cynical and I try to fight it, but I'm just like, man, this racial conflict is global that they're trying to spark, and it feels inevitable that people are going to be forced to choose sides based on skin color, and it feels inevitable. I don't, and it frightens me, to be quite honest.
Well, one thing to address your former point, that Somalians and many of the others, I forget what it is. There's a ton of surveys that show like 80-90% of Muslims think Sharia law should be the law of the land. So obviously they want to set up, literally they want to set up their Sharia law right there in Minnesota. So that's one thing. The second part of your point, though, I've been thinking about this as, you know, a lot of people would argue that the point of Fearless is racial harmony. It's just trying to get white and black people mostly to get along, see that we have, you know, Christian is our identity, not our color. Okay. But is it possible that we lived, Jason, more you than me, but I was barely alive, from 1990, which is the year I was born, till 2010-ish, were those the greatest racial harmony years in world history? And is that the outlier? Are we begging for something that's never existed in the history of the world? The Jews and the Gentiles didn't get along. Indian tribes, none of them got along. They went all over America here and killed each other. When have races ever gotten along? And are we begging for something that has only ever occurred for a 20-year period in the history of the world? And I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know my history well enough to know that. I do know that history is full of countries invading each other and people being incredibly tribal and not really caring about anybody that was different than them.
Well, I think my childhood in the 70s, 80s were not perfect, clearly, but we were on a path towards racial harmony, and it wasn't nearly as divided as it is now. I find the whole concept of choosing sides based on skin color laughable and, just unsustainable. It has to be about shared values, but everybody else seems to be, nope, it's just a skin color deal. And I'm the crazy person for thinking that you could form alliances based on values. And it just, when you're someone like me and over here in America where it feels like 90% of black people don't have your values, They have, they claim to in many respects, but they don't back them up in any real way. No, we're against gay marriage, but we'll certainly vote for it. Oh, we're against abortion, but we'll certainly vote for it. Hey, we want a colorblind society, but we want to see race in everything. They want to end racism, but they really want to benefit from racism and promote. And so just being as transparent, as real as I can possibly be, it's like, holy cow. If this thing comes down to race, I'm going to be a homeless man because the race the side I'm supposed to choose doesn't have my values. Well, what do I do? It's just being completely transparent and vulnerable. I think about it all the time.
Yeah, look, I mean, America's not nearly there, right? Your average white guy right now, if you said, hey, bring me 10,000 black folks that are Christian, that are incredible neighbors, that take care of themselves and their home and their family, don't commit crimes, believe in America and our Constitution and hold your same values and move them in next door, and they take over your old neighborhood. Are you good with that? Yeah, sure. And I think that's still true today. Will that be true forever? I don't know. But I do think...
Here's the thing, though, TJ. Here's what I'm saying is, I think myself and a lot of white people are like, what percentage of black people are the way you're talking about? I mean, what percentage are that's what the conversations all week been on the main channel about this fatigue. And again, it comes down to, if everybody wants to evaluate every action through a skin color lens, I don't want to be around those people. And I don't blame white people for not wanting to be around those people. That's not the America I thought we were building towards. I thought we were actually going the other direction, content of character. And I just think more people are just becoming very suspicious of, like, man, black people are trapped in such a mass psychosis. They don't believe in a colorblind society. They don't believe in judging people by the content of their character. They believe in judging everything based on skin color.
Yeah, and so, I mean, look, what you're asking for is a novel concept that even Peter in the Bible, who people think, had the first pope seat, and I don't believe that, but a lot of people think he's really important, right? Even he had to be reprimanded by Paul for being tribal. When Paul said, listen, neither Greek nor Jew, we are all one in Christ Jesus. So the guy that was the best friend of Jesus, certainly one of the people would argue that he was the favorite disciple. He didn't get it. So it is a novel concept. And look, I agree with you, obviously. And my outlook is actually pretty skewed as far as, what do average black people act like? Because I see videos that are crazy all the time. If you get on social media, it's nuts. And I do a lot of real estate down in the city of St. Louis. That's nuts. But I also played ball with a bunch of some of the best people I've ever met are black dudes. And I now do this show with a bunch of you guys that are black, that are some of the best people I've ever met. So my personal experience does not match up with the strangers that I meet down in North St. Louis or what I see on social media. And so that is one part of it. But I would tell you in general, people demonize stereotypes. Like, there's a reason people do this, right? Stereotyping has always been for, there's some humor in it or whatever, but it's like safety. Okay, why would you move to the other side of the street if there's a 6-foot shack walking down the street and you have no idea who he is? You're like, I don't know, because for a very long time that person may have attacked you. And so, is that still true? I don't know. If somebody who's way bigger than me, white or black, I probably wouldn't want to walk next to him. So these stereotypes come in, and it's a safety mechanism. And so that is what people move to over time. And they're like, hey, look, whenever I get around black people, I get attacked or I get destroyed or I get called racist or whatever. And eventually you just don't go around them. And it's really hard to go one by one and say, okay, 30 that are all going to rob me, that one could be my best friend. And then 35 of these people would be terrible neighbors that hate me and are waiting to find a way to destroy my life, call me a racist, and make sure my kids can't go to college because we've been canceled. And then one of them would stand in my wedding. Like, it's hard to parse through all of that. So you see why people do it. It's not the right thing to do, in my view. I'm very content of the character, but I do see why people do it. And, you know, we perhaps have an advanced thinking. Again, it comes from the Bible. It was Paul's reprimand of Peter of how, you know, we're all one in Christ Jesus. Here's our new value system. But there is a reason that everybody throughout the history of the world is like, hey, these white people, they do this certain thing, stay away from them. The Indians did this, right? When white people first came to America, we brought so much sickness that it wiped out so many of the Indians. They're like, hey, these white people are going to kill us. It wasn't even, it was before any of these big clashes. We just brought sickness. And they're like, hey, these white people, they're sick. They're going to kill us. Stay away from the white people. That's a stereotype that makes sense. And that's how people throughout all of history have had to examine things.
I want to play this clip of a black man talking about these South African people that are coming into America. And again, it's this delusion, it's this irrational thought process that just further disconnects us. And I just, but I get, he's been in the matrix and in this programming deal where, again, he evaluates everything through a skin color lens and reaches some pretty crazy conclusions. Let's play shot number 4.
I need y'all to realize what Trump just did. He brought 8,000 white people out here from South Africa, not because they need refuge, not because they need asylum. It's because he knows these 8,000 white South African motherfuckers are racist. He knows they finna come over here and they're gonna be blatantly racist, thinking that they still in South Africa. But these 8,000 racist motherfuckers gonna find out the hard way. They're gonna fuck around and find out. You can't talk that shit over here on our soil. So what's gonna happen is that these people are gonna start getting their ass whooped because they think it's okay to talk to us any old kind of way like they did out there in South Africa. Then we start lumping motherfuckers up because they don't know how to talk to black people in America. Oh, here comes another executive order. Here comes another executive order to protect white people, just like they do Asians, just like they do the Jewish. Watch what I tell you. All these racist white South Africans that were brought here to America are going to be talking that shit. A lot of them going to get lumped up. Then the news going to spread, oh my God, black people are hurting South Africans. This has to be racist. Executive order. I dare a black person to put their hands on another white person. It'll be considered a hate crime. Just watch. This is exactly what's happening. Remember, he wants chaos. This is how you create chaos.
And so obviously this man has no following, but I just think he represents a mindset that, again, that has been programmed and trained to see things in that simplistic black-white pattern.
Help me out with this one, Jason, and I am asking this genuinely, but I have some experience with this in real estate as a landlord and having tenants next to each other. I've never, and I mean this, I've never met a group of Mexicans and black people that got along. The value system has seemed so different, and I'm genuinely asking this. I've never heard a rant like that from a black dude upset that this many Mexicans are coming across the border. And they seem to get along way worse than blacks and whites. And so 20 million Mexicans here illegally over the last X amount of years. And he's upset about 8,000 white folks. When you deal with white folks in America all the time, and you think there's going to be some executive order that it's going to become a hate crime. And what are you talking about? I don't understand. And I truly mean it. The value system between the Mexicans that come across this border and what I see from black folks, it doesn't mix. Not with what I see.
What you're talking about as it relates to blacks and Mexicans is an outgrowth from prison culture. The blacks and Mexicans are pitted against each other inside prison walls, and that has spilled out into the rest of the culture. And there's great animus and a lot of this in California, black people have basically been run out of most of California and it's dominated from a minority perspective much more by Mexicans and Latinos. And it's hard for me to relate to because all of my experiences with Latino people have been positive. I haven't had this bad experience, but I am aware of the tension between the two, and I'm aware of the contradiction of what you're pointing out with this man is like, he's worried about 54 or 8,000 white South Africans, and the country's being flooded with Latinos, that there's a clear history and disconnect, but there's no clicks, there's no social media traction. The algorithm isn't rigged up to reward talking about that friction. The algorithm is rigged up to reward black people for creating TikTok videos and other videos that amplify a disconnect, tension, conflict between white and black. And so he's just serving the algorithm and what will get him traction and what will, not just traction, but be attractive to black women, as I talked about on the main show today. He's just following the programming. He's been programmed to think this way, and it is a mass psychosis that I'm not sure can be fixed. And I say that because, again, if you just look at history, it's like the people that went off into the jungle with Jim Jones in Guyana, like 68, 70% of them were black people. The majority of those black people were black women, and they killed themselves rather than come out of the psychosis, that Marxist mentality that got them there. And maybe, again, people have been arguing like, hey, man, they're making movies, The Purge, and the series of movies about The Purge is because that is the final solution that they're herding everyone into. There's got to just be an elimination and killing of undesirables. And I'm not saying I believe in it. I'm just saying, like, is that what all of the brainwashing and propaganda is about? Is that what the Matrix is about? Pitting tribalisms or tribes against each other and a violent conflict. And it's like people are beating their chest like, yeah, I'm ready for that war. I'm ready for this final conflict. And I just get more and more depressed and sad.
So I've never really thought about it this way, but it sounds like what you're describing, and you might be right, is that you and I are sitting here and white people are between 60 and 70% of the population still in America, depending on who you ask and what stats there are. Black people, 12, 13%. We're sitting and saying, hey, this is really a Christian country. Blacks, whites, whoever. There's the Latinos that are here, incredibly Roman Catholic. Like, this is really a Christian country. And it's like, hey, we got a lot to come together on. And the reality might be that all of these people are coming in, and particularly just the leftists, saying, hey, this is a fight over America, and one race is going to win. So we're going to find out who it's going to be. But you white people aren't even aware there's a war yet, and it's here.
Well, I do think white people are aware that it's here. And that's where the black fatigue is coming from. That's where the Nick Fuentes, the white nationalism is coming from. That's where the Jake Lang and all that, that's where that's all coming from. And so they're aware, and they're running around like Paul Revere saying, look, the race war is coming, the race war is coming. Load up.
Yeah, it's like, still today, the Jake Langs, the Nick Fuentes groups, there are a few, even I'd say Elijah Schaefer, who I tend to like, but he's one of these guys. They're so far on the fringe for most white people, in one ear and out the other. 99% of white people have no idea that that could be what's happening. I don't know if it is, but have not the slightest clue. Most white people are just trying to go through their day as every normal person would, be a good family man, try to be a better Christian, and they're told frequently, don't be racist, so they're trying not to be racist. That's your average white dude. Whereas is the average black man, black woman thinking, we got to exterminate these white people, get them out of there? this is a war over this land. White people came in here 400 or 500 years ago and conquered this land, and we're going to conquer it. It's going to be different, but we have already set a culture to get rid of these white people. They're the real problem, and there's not room enough for all of us here.
Yeah, is that, yes. Have most black people thought it through that far? No. But do they kind of shrug their shoulders and say, you know, we got numbers and we're going to win? Have they bought, do they, in some way, in some kind of passive way, are like, yeah, we got the momentum at our back, and they're sitting around doing the math, and that's why now, because, you know, I didn't know until the past week, 20 days, whatever, that white people are 7% of the global population. It seems like that's popping up over and over again now, and I see it everywhere. And so that seems like a marketing strategy of, hey, we got numbers. And so this racial conflict, there's more people like us, and where this, where black people have been tolerant of all this illegal immigration. Yeah, that there's more people of color. We've bought into this people of color idea, and that they're all going to be on our side. And there's going to be a big surprise when they find, no, man, these Latinos, they ain't on your side. They don't respect you, your values, anything. And so,
neither are the Indians. These people from India too, they're not on your side. It's like these different groups. Asians are not on anybody's side. The Asians are on their side. They're on the side of their family and being in school for 16 hours a day. Ask Steve Kim. That's the side they're on. That's it. There is no race war that they're interested outside of that. Go be a doctor, make a lot of money, get really smart. That is the culture. And so I agree with you. But I would say just generally, if we're having a war here in the United States, again, white people are still 60 to 68% of the population. You don't have numbers if that's really what they think. It's like, who's coming over here from Africa to help you fight this war? It's you know, if it really hits the metal here, what rubber hits the road, it's not going to be a fun war for anybody. But certainly white people have numbers today. And white people in the country got a whole lot of guns. So if it comes down to, of these, I think there's 400 million guns or something. There's a lot of guns floating around the United States.
TJ, I agree with you. I think, though, people's perception, and again, it's like the people actually rigging up this war. Black people think that those people are on their side, which is one of the most foolish things to believe maybe in the history of the planet. I think the people rigging up this war and are trying to bait black people into this war want black people eliminated. And it's like, hey, we did the things with Native Americans to put them on reservations. That's not the solution for American black people. The solution for American black people is let's bait a racial conflict. Let's get black people buying into this mentality that we're the greatest fighters, we're the woman kings and the men kings, and we're Black Panther, and it's Wakanda forever. We're superhero fighters, and these white people are all cowards, and we're going to win this war. And we're going to get slaughtered. And this has nothing to do with some sort of inferiority. It's just reality. We're overweight, and we don't have numbers, and all these tough-talking women and the loud women in Wendy's and at Starbucks and blah, 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 they're no help on the battlefield. And so you're being baited into a fight that you cannot win. And that's not some fear of white people. It's just look at the pieces on the chessboard, do the math, look at all this stuff. And so you're falling for a trap. You're falling for propaganda. And you sit there and try to say, like, hey, man, this is a fight you don't want to have. You need to be appreciative, and you need to understand that we've been a big part of America's success story. And until this last 80 years where we've done this Marxist pivot and think that destroying America and destroying Christian values actually serves us. Anyway. I've gone longer than I thought I would, and you've given me much to think about because I haven't thought this topic all the way through, but it's not going anywhere, and we will continue it. Thank you, TJ. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Up so divided, stop fighting and stand tall. We used to be a nation, one united. Now we're headed for downfall. God, let your light shine down. What we need more than anything now, harmony. Let's make a simple vow. Let's come together now. Harmony. Put all your weapons down. Love one another now. Time for us to wake up. Choose love, my sister, my brother. See through the lies they tell